Hello and welcome to your first lesson in ZeusWeusFilm school. So as I stated last week, we're starting off very simple with ZeusWeusFilm school. How to operate a camera. Now, like I said last week, I know that sounds painfully simple, but it's actually something that a lot of people don't know. I don't mean they don't know how to point the camera and press record. I mean like the nooks and crannies of a camera. A lot of people don't know what they do, don't know if they should press them. It sounds silly, but there's a lot of people, even people in film, that don't know how to properly operate a camera. Sometimes in like film education you're not actually showed, or sometimes you are and like maybe you just didn't grasp it properly. It sounds really simple, but similar to Beyond Film last week, where I was talking about getting good sleep, and I said there's no point taking any of the future advice from future episodes if you don't start with the core one, which is getting good sleep. It's the same concept here. There's no point, you know, going down this path of learning how to make films or learning how to, you know, do film work for clients if you don't actually know your camera inside and out. Now, of course, there's another problem, which is not every camera is the same. Now I'm going to show you today a bunch of controls and buttons, etc. that most cameras have, regardless of price point, or most DSLRs have anyway. Most DSLRs and most mirrorless cameras have. Of course, when you get up into the cameras that are multiple thousands of pounds, you're going to have far more options than I can show you in this video. But for now, we're starting out simple, and I want to show you how to operate a mirrorless camera. What all the buttons do, all the options, all your stupid questions that you're too afraid to ask because someone might judge you for it. I'm going to show you. Then you don't have to think about what anyone else says. You'll just know how to use the camera. You can impress everyone. So the specimen in today's video is the Panasonic G7. This little camera is a 4K capable mirrorless camera. It's also what you're seeing right now. I have two of them. Got this one back in 2020 and I loved it so much that when I needed a second camera, I just bought another one. I'm not going to go into crazy detail that people who are just starting out might get lost. The point in this video is if you want to get into filmmaking, no matter what aspect, making actual films, maybe you just want to make content for YouTube and stuff like that, maybe you want to start earning money from clients, you know, doing videographer work, maybe filming music videos, filming weddings, that type of thing. No matter what area of film you're trying to get into, I just want to make sure that you know how to use your camera. And you're not, since maybe it's sometimes people are a bit afraid to ask questions, you won't be. And you can ignore the, do I know how to use this right? What does this button do? And you can just get into what really counts, which is using it for whatever it is you're using it for. So, without wasting any more time, let's take a close look at the camera. Alright, so here we are. I thought it would be best to start off by putting out on the bed everything that you would possibly need starting out with the camera. And I will show you the assembly process and what all the stuff does. And then after that, we'll get into specifics on buttons on the camera. So, let's go. First of all, like I said, we have the Panasonic G7. This one, it's not really focusing that well, but ignore that sticker, I put that there. It's camera 1. The one I'm currently filming on. It says camera 2. I have with it the lens that it comes with. I have a few other lenses lying about, and one that I'm using to film this. But this is the lens that comes with it, so, you know, and some other stuff. So let's get into it. First of all, most cameras have a place to put a battery. If they didn't, it would not turn on. So, on this particular camera, which some other cameras share this quality, where you put the SD card, it goes in with the battery just above it. Usually, there is a indicator on the plastic showing you what side the SD card should be facing. This camera doesn't have it, but it's not too big a deal. Try and put it into the hole, and if it doesn't fit, turn it around a wee bit and it'll go in. The battery in most cameras has its prongs to either the left or the right. So just look in, see where it lines up, and go way until you feel it click into place. Push that back over, push that back over, lock it into place. You have now put in the SD card and the battery to your camera. Putting a lens on your camera. Most cameras have plastic ring or plastic circle that screws into place when the lens isn't on to prevent dust or damage to the actual eye of the camera. Twist it anti-clockwise, pull it out, and now you can see what the inside lens looks like. Not to, worry you, but anything happens to that, it's a good idea to get a lens cleaning kit. Never touch that with anything unless absolutely necessary, like something's been spilled on it, which in that case you might have screwed your camera a wee bit anyway, but you could always try. I recommend everyone have one of these because your lens will get dirty at some point. But yes, the wee air pump I was talking about, it's this wee thing here. Let me get some ASMR going. If you really need to clean this, dust has got in here, what you do is you take this and just... But I'm not going to go into too much detail on this today. I will give you a full other video on cleaning and maintaining your camera. This one is just how it works. So, taking off that plastic ring, your lens will have one too. Again, anti-clockwise, comes off. I've used a few other DSLRs before, but any of the Lumix ones I've used have a little red dot here, hope you can see, and a red dot here on the lens. Line them up and then screw clockwise until it clicks into place, and now you have attached your lens. This is your lens cap. The lens you can go at with a wipe as long as you're very delicate with it, but once again I'll get into that in another time. Most lenses come with a lens hood, one of these, come in different shapes, different sizes. This was a flower petal one, I think it's called. Once again, there's a dot and a line, and there is a dot on the lens. Line up the dots, twist clockwise until the line meets the dot and it should click into place, and that is your lens hood equipped. That is your camera pretty much in this state, ready to film, apart from the software side of things of course, and some of the other buttons up here. But I mean, you could go and film stuff with your camera looking like this, okay? But there's some other slots in the camera. What do they do? Flipping over, in fact, very important lesson, take your lens cap, since we're not filming anything at the minute, put it in, and then nothing will happen to the lens. Flip the camera over, back to where the battery compartment was, you will see this. It is a screw thingy. You can actually use, as I recently discovered, a lot of things in this hole, but the most common use for this hole is the tripod plate. Take that, flip up a wee lever in here. Some of them have indents where you have to get a coin and twist that, but most good ones have that wee thing you can pull up. Line the hole and the screw up, hold it in place and just turn. Push the lever back down, and now your camera is ready to be stuck into a tripod. What's this last one here? Well, if you look at the top of your camera, this is called a hot shoe clip. Different cameras have different ones, okay? The one I currently have on this camera, or the one that this camera has, I should say, is what is known as a hot shoe clip. The reason it's called a hot shoe clip, or slot, is because those wee metal things on there, the wee interfaces, certain attachments that you can get for this hot shoe slot allow it to directly commute with that attachment. If I lost anyone there, what that basically means is a hot shoe clip can allow the camera to control the attachment that's stuck on here from a software level, right? Providing the attachment also has these interfaces and is a hot shoe attachment. So that would imply, if you've been following along, that some cameras have what is known as a cold shoe clip, which is basically this exact thing that holds an attachment, minus the wee metal parts here that allow the camera to communicate with it, which basically means it's just a slot to put in attachment. Now you can use a hot shoe slot as a cold shoe slot, because obviously you can put in an attachment that's just made of plastic and it'll work fine, but like I said, it has that additional benefit of you can put in attachments that are considered hot and they can communicate with each other through these little metal interfaces. Well, I don't have any hot attachments, at least not on this camera. So the one I'm going to work with is a cold attachment. It is a Rode microphone. I had a windbreaker on it there, but because this is we're confined for space, I want to throw that away. You do this, pretty self-explanatory. You slot the mic in. Most attachments that go into one of these have a wheel on them like this, and you can tighten it into place. Now that you've tightened it, there you go. Some other attachments you can get are, well, for example, the microphone that I'm using to record this can be slid like this right into the top of the camera to keep the receiver box safe. You could put a light, like one of the ones I'm using to light this set here, on top of the camera, although the ones I have are too heavy for that. But you can get lighter ones that do it. And there's a whole other, there's tons of attachments you can get for your camera, depends what you need them for. We're not done yet, because at the minute you've just screwed a piece of plastic into a piece of metal. That doesn't do anything. Most of the time, cameras have a slot here that you can put a headphone jack. I know they're not headphone jacks, it's a 3.5mm jack, but most people just know these as headphone jacks because that's what they look like. Goes into the mic slot, and then that into the back of the camera. What that does, now that that's been directly plugged into the mic, is all audio recorded on your clips from the camera, it will use the audio from this instead of the camera's built-in microphone. Very nice. This is your camera fully set up. You could make some decent things with this. For example, the Hunter files, both times round, minus this tripod clip. This is basically how we filmed the Hunter files the past few times, except we've used instead of a tripod plate, we've had it screwed into a Steadicam, which is basically like a thing that has a couple of handles so you can hold the camera a bit more steady. That, plus a simple lens, default lens, nothing spectacular, no fisheye lenses, no big zoom lenses. That and a Rode microphone is how we filmed a couple of episodes of Hunter Files. That is basically, if you're beginning as a filmmaker, a good setup to go with. But you've made your camera setup. What does any of this stuff do? Well, now we get into that.